My dear ones, Happy New Year 2026. May this year bring you clarity, inner strength, and the ability to choose your reality not from fear, but from maturity and freedom. I sincerely wish you to feel a solid inner foundation, to recognize new opportunities, and to step into spaces where you become stronger, wiser, and more grounded. The year 2026 is a year of an epochal shift and accelerated history. It is a transitional and extremely dense period in which ideological vectors are changing simultaneously. Technological and military processes are accelerating. Old forms of power and governance are collapsing, and scenarios for the next 15 to 20 years of global development are being laid down. On an intuitive level, this is a point of no return. The world will no longer be able to roll back to its former models. Now let's talk about the key transits of 2026. On February 13th, Saturn enters Aries, opening a new global phase. Saturn in Aries is a harsh test for leaders, states, and military structures. It marks the end of weak and unstructured authority and a transition from words to direct action. In global processes, this manifests as changes in political figures, intensified military rhetoric, the emergence of new rules of sovereignty, and the rise of direct head on conflicts without diplomatic masks. This is not a gentle transit, it demands mature strength and responsibility. From April 26th, Uranus enters Gemini, and we enter a period of technological and informational explosion. Uranus in Gemini launches a revolution in information, artificial intelligence, neural networks, communication, the internet, media, transportation, and logistics. Globally, this will manifest through new forms of digital control, the collapse of old media systems, radical changes in education, and a leap in AI development that will occur faster than society is psychologically prepared to accept. This is a transit of information wars and a sharp rise in manipulation. Throughout 2026, Neptune remains in Aries. It amplifies fanatical ideas, the image of saviors, prophets, and radical movements, as well as struggles over meaning and identity. On a global scale, this shows up as ideological wars, religious and philosophical conflicts, the cult of heroes and the cult of enemies. Truth becomes blurred, and during this period, it is especially important not to follow illusions of strength. From July 30th, Jupiter enters Leo, and an active struggle for influence and recognition begins. Jupiter in Leo strengthens themes of power, elites, and leadership, and supports the rise of charismatic figures. Globally, this manifests through bright political personalities, the strengthening of authoritarian models, and competition for the attention of the masses. This is an era of loud statements and demonstrations of power. Special attention should be paid to the lunar nodes, which from August 20th to March 2028 activate the Aquarius-Leo axis. Aquarius is connected with the collective technology and the future, while Leo represents personal power, ego, and the leader. The main question of this era is, who controls the future, the human being or the system? And the very meaning of Aquarius already kinda provides the answer. This is the era of systems. The eclipses of 2026 become turning points. In March, along the Pisces-Virgo axis, crisis of systems, healthcare, ecology, and the economy will emerge. In September, along the Leo-Aquarius axis, the confrontation between power and society will intensify. During this period, sharp escalations, collapses of agreements, and true bifurcation points for the world are possible. Overall, humanity is entering a phase of hard choices, accelerated history, direct conflicts, and technological leaps without a moral pause. This is a year in which the architecture of the future is formed, not just events unfolding. Next, I suggest breaking the forecast down by quarters. In this video, we will focus on the first quarter of 2026 from January to March. This is a phase of rupture and the collapse of illusions. During this period, Saturn moves from Pisces into Aries on February 14th. Neptune also enters Aries earlier on January 27th. Mars forms tense aspects with Pluto in January and February, and the March eclipses along the Virgo-Pisces axis intensify the overall effect. The astrological essence of this quarter is that old agreements lose their power, illusions of stability collapse, and the world finally realizes that there is no return to the past. On a global level, this may manifest through crises in governance, logistics and healthcare, sharp economic decisions, military and security escalations, and the surfacing of hidden information. March 2026 is one of the most tense points of the entire year. This is not the beginning of processes, but the exposure of what has long been maturing beneath the surface. The central element of the configuration is the Mars-Pluto aspect in Aquarius. This represents a maximum concentration of force, pressure that cannot be ignored, and a struggle not for territory, but for control over the system. In Aquarius, this does not appear as armies at war, but as a battle of technologies, information control, and force applied through systems, networks, algorithms, and collectives. It is called strategic and depersonalized aggression. On a global scale, this means a forceful redistribution of digital space, decisive actions by states through technology, cyber wars, sanctions, blockages, shutdowns, and pressure on freedom of speech under the pretext of security. This is an aspect of total coercion, not through tanks but through infrastructure data and access control. From January 1st to January 19th, Mars in Aquarius is in opposition to retrograde Jupiter in Cancer. This creates a conflict between forceful action and the ideology of protection, sacred values, people, and homeland. During this period, sharp political statements are likely. Justification of force through morality and care, amplification of threat and security narratives, and emotional, hysterical rhetoric. This is an extremely dangerous time for provocations, as retrograde Jupiter intensifies ideological distortions, and decisions are made more from emotion than from calculation. In January and February, sharp geopolitical moves are possible. Forceful decisions prepared in advance, technological or infrastructural strikes, and demonstrative acts of intimidation. This is a period without diplomatic pauses, when decisions are made quickly and harshly. A new reality is fixed. What is spoken in early January is implemented in the second half of the month. This is one of the most important segments of 2026 because the Mars-Pluto aspect leaves no room for compromise, and Pluto makes any action irreversible. The presence of Aquarius means that changes affects millions of people simultaneously. This is not a local crisis, but a systemic click. Its core logic is simple. Whoever controls the system controls reality. January breaks old social contracts, forms new models of power, and determines who and how will govern societies in the 2030s. This is not about emotions, it is about structural power. From February 14th onward, Saturn in Aries enters the stage, canceling soft leadership, demanding direct responsibility, and legitimizing harsh measures. In combination with Mars and Pluto, forceful decisions are framed as necessity, new rules, restrictions, and frameworks are introduced. Power stops explaining itself, it simply acts. Saturn makes the act of force legal and irreversible. January-February is the moment when the scenario for the 2030s is launched. It is here that new forms of control are laid down and it is decided who governs the future. In March, April, we will see the first consequences and system failures. Structures that could not withstand January's decisions will begin to collapse. Errors, distortions, and casualties will appear, and it will become clear that the price was higher than expected. The world will face the side effects of force. This phase can be described with the words, "This is not how we imagined it." So, we see an extremely dynamic and harsh beginning to the year. In the following videos, we will discuss the subsequent quarters of 2026, draw historical parallels, and talk about how to navigate this pivotal year in the most effective way possible. It was Anna Raight, a professional astrologer. All information and the personal calculators you can find on the website professional astrological portal called astroforyou.org. I'll see you there. Bye.